Breaking news for victims and survivors of the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. There is now a massive settlement with MGM Resorts in the Las Vegas mass shooting. MGM says it will pay as much as $800 million to resolve the lawsuits that stemmed from the massacre.
I think what all the victims also want is they want some change in this country. They want these mass shootings to stop. As we all know, there's an epidemic of mass shootings in this country. This is the first time a company has stepped up and paid the victims. And unfortunately, it seems like the only thing that drives change in this country is money.
We spoke to a few of the victims tonight and their families. Now, all of them said the same thing. This is not about the money. They would give it all back to have their loved ones come home.
It was 2 years ago Tuesday that Stephen Paddock opened fire from his 32nd floor suite at the Mandalay Bay on the Route 91 Harvest Festival. The FBI found Paddock acted alone, but the plaintiffs in the lawsuit argued MGM didn't adequately protect the concert goers. It's estimated as many as 4,200 people could ask to be a part of the settlement, which is the third largest in U.S. history. It's unclear how much each participant in the settlement will get. It will depend on how many people take part. In a statement, the MGM CEO said, quote, "Our goal has always been to resolve these matters so our community, the victims, and their families can move forward in the healing process." Local attorneys involved just spoke out about the settlement in downtown L.A.
It's the first time in history that mass shooting victims have been paid. It's never happened before, and we are happy to be able to do it for these families. They need it.
We're never going to change their lives from what happened. In other words, they're going to have to live with this for the rest of their lives. We just hope that some money can help them, help the families, help their children, help the grandchildren and their families to move on.
My whole cheek, my eyebrow, all of this it's all metal, all plates, screws.
30-year-old Chelsea Romo covers her missing eye with her bangs and says doctors told her it's a miracle she can still see out of her right eye after she was shot 2 years ago at the Route 91 festival in Vegas.
I wear a hard contact lens that I have to take in and out every day with a suction.
Romo is one of more than 4,000 victims hurt in the mass shooting at the concert. Before taking his own life, Stephen Paddock shot from his Mandalay Bay hotel room into the crowd, killing 58 people, including Chris and Debbie Davis's daughter.
There's no money that could bring my daughter back, and we miss her every day.
MGM Resorts International and attorneys representing thousands of victims' families reached a settlement that could pay up to $800 million sometime next year.
This settlement is not an admission of liability by MGM by any stretch of the imagination.
Many blamed MGM for negligence. Paddock was seen on security camera bringing bags of weapons into his room.
Do you, Chelsea, feel that MGM has done enough? There was discussion that there could be a lot higher settlement amount. Do you think that MGM has done enough?
I don't think there's at any point you could ever do enough. You can't bring people back. I mean, I don't think anything could ever be enough.
Money is not the thing. However, we're very glad that this lawsuit is being settled and being done so that us and the other 57 families can move forward in our lives and be done with that chapter in our life.
And a few of the attorneys representing some of the families hope to see security stepped up at all of MGM's facilities following this mass shooting. Jeff, back to you.
MGM Resorts has now agreed to a massive settlement in the 1 October case. MGM will pay as much as $800 million to both victims and their families. Tuesday marked 2 years since the 1 October tragedy when a gunman opened fire from inside a suite at the Mandalay Bay onto a country music festival below. 58 people were killed that night, hundreds more injured. Our Hector Mejia is live in downtown Las Vegas where a press conference on the settlement just ended a short time ago. Hector.
Alex, it's a massive case involving 65 law firms, and this payout covers nearly 4,400 people named in this lawsuit. Let's show you video of that press conference happening, or finishing actually, just a few moments ago here inside Eglet Adams law offices. The leading firm representing the victims said this settlement is a result of ongoing mediation efforts with MGM Resorts. The company will pay between $735 and $800 million. As far as the distribution of the settlement goes, the court will appoint one or more administrators to evaluate each claim. The process could take up to a year, and this morning we heard from Robert Eglet, the lead attorney in the settlement, and here's what he said when asked if there's still time for victims to file.
Unless they are part of the group that are represented by our collective group and subject to the tolling agreement, if they have not filed a lawsuit, in my opinion, their case is barred by the statute of limitations.
MGM Resorts International Chairman and CEO Jim Murin said in a statement today that the casino giant's goal has been to resolve the lawsuits it faced over the 2017 Las Vegas massacre. Quote, so our community and the victims and their families can move forward in the healing process. MGM added, this settlement is not an admission of guilt, and it covers victims from at least 8 states and Canada. Over half of the victims are from California, who had traveled to Las Vegas for the Route 91 Harvest Festival 2 years ago. Reporting live, Hector Mejia, 8 News Now.
First thing I do when I sit down is I look where, the exit is.
Lawsuits filed since the shooting question how and why Mandalay Bay did not know that the shooter was hiding high-powered weapons in his hotel room in the days leading up to the attack. Good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson.
And I'm Lindsay Pena. 10 News reporter Cassie Carlisle is joining us. And Cassie, you spoke with an attorney who's representing almost 200 victims?
That's exactly right, 4 of which are San Diegans. And we spoke with Chelsea Romo, a single mother of 2 who lost her eye from the attack at the Country Music Festival.
I'm always on high alert. I can't do small, crowded spaces. And
Chelsea Romo's life flipped at a Las Vegas concert October 1st, 2017.
She said, Chelsea, your face. Then the next thing I remember, someone grabbed me from underneath the arms. At this time, I could see nothing. And they pulled me behind the stage.
Now she's trying to find a new normal, raising her 2 kids while balancing the never-ending stream of doctor's appointments, unable to go back to work.
My no eye, and she'll touch it. She's like, Mom, can I touch your fake eye? And then, can I touch your real eye? I said, no, you can't touch the real one.
Hoping a chunk of the $800 million settlement from MGM Resorts International will help with her expenses. She was part of a complaint filed within a couple months of the massacre at Jason Aldean's concert. The suit claiming negligence, breach of security, and alleging prior notice, among many others.
When we make a mistake, we have to own up to it, we have to make restitution, and we have to change the bad behavior.
Attorney James France says most of the victims suffer PTSD or were injured by shrapnel.
My whole cheek, my eyebrow, all of this it's all metal.
Chelsea hopes this settlement will provide a better life.
I definitely hope that there's more safety precautions that come out of all of this.
France says the victims could start seeing that money in 2020. Now, a judge and mediators will decide how it will be split among the plaintiffs. Reporting in the studio, Cassie Carlisle, 10 News.
I think what all the victims also want is they want some change in this country. They want these mass shootings to stop. As we all know, there's an epidemic of mass shootings in this country. This is the first time a company has stepped up and paid the victims. And unfortunately, it seems like the only thing that drives change in this country is money. And so now that we have companies realizing they could be financially responsible for these shootings, we're hoping that steps are going to be taken and pressure is going to be applied to the right government people to stop this madness. That's what the families really want, and that's what we think this settlement is going to help achieve.
Yes, and you and the press ought to get to our government and have them change what's going on here. We've got to stop these mass shootings. I mean, it just keeps going on every month. There's one a month. It's crazy.
And the unfortunate reality is that, for example, the gun manufacturers cannot be sued due to a federal act that completely stops them from being sued. And so, you know, that's where we are right now, and companies are going to have to increase their security, or else they're going to be held liable for these things. And, you know, MGM stepped up, paid its due, but I'm sure they don't want this to happen again at one of their properties, and I'm sure no company wants it to happen.